Okay, this would be a very short tutorial. All I want to do is just do one revision lecture on the while loop in JavaScript. So what we know is if we want to run our while loop, we use the keyword while, and inside of parentheses we are checking to see if some condition is true, and while that condition is true, we're going to enter the curly braces, i.e. the code block, and run some code. So what I want to do in this tutorial is let's just create a counter variable and just log out numbers 1 to 50 just for practice. So I could say let counter or let I, we'll say I, let I be equal to 50. And remember, we'll start it at 1. Actually what we can do is we'll do 1 to 50 and then we'll do another loop, same while loop, but we'll count from 50 back down to 1. So what I'm doing here is I am initializing the counter variable called I. So remember, I is our counter variable, so I'm just initializing that with a value. And what we want to do is we want the loop to run while I is less than or equal to 50. And while that is true, we're just going to log out to the console.log loop, and then whatever I is. So the first time the loop runs, I will have a value of 1. And remember, after each iteration, each time we run the loop, we just want to increase our counter variable I. And all we need to do is just say I plus plus. And then semicolon to end the statement. So let me just save and then refresh. So this should log out numbers 1 to 50 inclusive. Awesome. Okay, we got 1 all the way down to 50. Okay, awesome. Now what I'd like to do is let's just write the while loop again, but this time let's count from 50 down to 1. See if you can pause the video and figure this out for yourself. But what I'll do is I'll just say let I be equal to 50. Okay. Then we have our while keyword. While some condition is true, we want to run the loop. So we're going to run the loop while I is, we'll say greater than or equal to 0. Actually to 1. We're counting to 1. And what's going to happen then is we're going to run our code while that condition is true. So console.log loop. So the first time the loop runs, I will have a value of 50. And remember, we want to this time use the decrement operator because we're counting down from 50 to the number 1. You don't want to increment I, okay, or you'll end up in an infinite loop, because what will happen is if you use the increment operator, remember plus plus, we're going to start counting at 50 and then 51, 52, 53. That condition will always evaluate to true, so you will be stuck in an infinite loop. So we don't want to use the increment operator, we want to use instead the decrement operator minus minus to take 1 from our counter variable I after each loop iteration. So we just say I minus minus, semicolon to end statement. Now let me just save and refresh. And now we've counted down from 50 down to 1. So that is the while loop revision lecture and how we can use the decrement operator with the while loop. There's going to be a challenge in the next tutorial regarding the while loop, and then we'll continue working with loops. See you in the next one.